Hello friends, welcome back to BSG Lustrum. Coming up is the third run of today, which is going to be F-Zero GX by Valyssa. Take it away.
Right, hello everybody. As you heard, I'm Valyssa. I have been here for a while, you probably know me. If you don't, hi. Nice to meet you. Alright, I'll get started talking about the game, and then I have plenty of BSG experiences to talk about. So we're gonna go into time attack mode, and play all the tracks there. We're gonna do that because in Grand Prix mode you have a limited number of lives, and you can only pick one vehicle per cup. Whereas in time attack mode, you can switch it up for every track, which is nice because, you know, we prefer to use certain vehicles in certain tracks because it's faster and just a lot nicer. So for the first track, I'll be using a custom machine called Gallant Star. You're gonna see this one a lot. I'm a big fan. Alright, are we ready on the timer?
Yeah, he's probably ready, yeah.
Hopefully. Alright,
Yeah,
then
he
I'll
is.
give you a countdown. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. So the run starts upon confirming our settings. As you can see, we have the slider all the way to the right. For you, that would be this way. And that's max speed settings, which means I have lower acceleration but higher top speed. Which doesn't necessarily sound great, but with lower acceleration comes lower deceleration. And we're going to be using that to maintain speed a lot better throughout the run. What this also means is that we can't make use of a technique we call snaking. Snaking, I hope to show you off at the end of the run if I do well. If I don't do well, we don't have time. We'll see. Snaking is absolutely ridiculous. It became a separate category because people were getting hand injuries. It's kind of unpleasant. If you do it well, and if you don't overdo it, you don't necessarily have hand injuries, but it's still pretty painful, especially when you're just learning. Like after just 10 minutes of snaking, you'll probably have pretty sore wrists. And people don't want that. People want more of like a normal driving style, so that's when max speed was introduced. Also, apologies if my voice is a bit hoarse. I also talked for 5.5 hours in another marathon yesterday, and I was like constant commentating because I couldn't find anyone to help me out, so here we are. Hopefully it's not too bad. Anyway. So what you just saw was Gallant Star G4, I'll talk about it more later, but here we have Fat Shark. Fat Shark is overpowered. This guy's rich, you can tell by all his necklaces and jewelry. So he just bought the most overpowered machine money can get you. So he's got 5 boosters, and with that he has the best boost power, longest boost in the game, and benefits the most from dash plates. So you have these dash plates on the ground. We're gonna hit them, and any track that has a lot of dash plates will be using Fat Shark pretty much. As you can see, casually hitting 2000, doing a small jump, which is almost killing me. I have to do a small recovery. There are certain downslopes in tracks. If you go too fast over them, you'll lift off. Sometimes that's a good thing. You just want it to all be planned. In this case, we could either slow down to not get lift off, or we could do a janky dive, which didn't make it, unfortunately. So with a dive, you can actually gain speed. So on top of not having to slow down, you gain speed from being able to dive down after. Unfortunately, it is kind of tricky. I got bad liftoffs both times. I got sent pretty far to the right. It's very finicky. So this time I'll just slow down to about here. And it's a lot less fun. So yeah, as with most F-Zero games, it's not even every F-Zero game, but as with most of them, your health is also your boost meter, as you can see in the top right. Every time I boost, it goes down. And with that, if I hit a wall, that same meter goes down. So if I boost away all my energy, and I slam it to a wall, or gently tap it, if it looks at me funny, I'll explode. So it's important to not run out of energy. Unless you want to, of course. What I did right there is a momentum turbo rail slide. It's kind of a combination of things. So let's start from the beginning. MT, momentum throttle. MT on its own is the act of letting go of the accelerator to decelerate slower. Basically, the further you are away from your top speed, the more it accelerates or decelerates you. So if you're going 0 kilometers per hour, it'll try to push you up to your 1100-ish max speed very quickly. If you're going 2000, it'll do the same thing but in reverse. And we don't want that. So when we're going above like 1350 kilometers per hour, we let go of the accelerator. And that means the game doesn't like rubber band us towards that speed target, kind of. So that's momentum throttle. We also use it in between boosts. When you boost, you're in boost state for a while, and afterward you will not be able to boost for like half a second to a second. It kind of depends on the machine that you're using. So yeah, in that duration you're probably going pretty fast, so you don't want to be decelerated. So it's kind of a tricky timing. Especially with Fat Shark, it has a long as heck booster, so it can be a bit hard to time. Gallant has a shorter booster, but still pretty strong, so I really like to use it. Alright, next up. So we discussed the MT. The RS is Rail Slide. It's something we do at mostly the end of tracks. What we do during tracks is MTS. I know, it's a bit much. MTS is Momentum Turbo Slide, and that's what you've been seeing me do, and what you're seeing me do right now, in fact. So what we do, we break our grip, face to the side, and use our strafing power, this right here, to go forward. So by being at as close to 90 degrees as possible, we actually get the maximum benefit of going forward. Why is there MT included? Because if you don't, you only have a turbo slide. Turbo sliding is also useful, but not nearly as strong. You'll see me do it sometimes because MTS can be a bit tricky on slopes. Like right now I might just choose to do some turbo sliding. As you can see, my accelerator was on for the duration. That is not a new record, by the way. This is just not my main file. My secondary memory card that all my replays got corrupted. I figured, might as well start over. So here we are. So yeah, MTS, we're going to be doing it a lot. You can tell when I'm doing it when there's the red sparks underneath my machine, and I'm facing to the side and going fast, pretty much. The downside of an MTS is you have to exit it. So you're facing to the side, you're going super fast, but then, you know, at some point you have to go forward again. And that process loses you some speed. There's a few ways to minimize that, which is either by doing side attacks, which is those red orbs that fly around my machine, or a quick turn. Which one I'll do depends on the circumstances. Right now I'm doing side attack exits because it just works out better on the slope. Right here I might opt to go for a quick turn, just to get a cleaner exit because you have a bit more control when you do a quick turn exit, and that's a very narrow path right there. Sometimes I might also opt to do side attacks before even doing an MTS, or without doing an MTS. And that's because side attack turning still gains you speed. Gallant Star gets a lot of speed from side attacks. It's very heavy, but also still very mobile, which is fantastic. So whenever there's somewhat of a shallow turn, I might choose to just do side attack turning, because that still accelerates me. Also, the track is very sloped here, so I'm not going to be doing as much MTS chaining, because it gets very, very difficult to control. You can just wobble out of control, slam into walls, and then it's all for nothing. So in terms of marathon runs, it's kind of just better to not go for it. If you're going for a world record, you absolutely should, but, you know, 99% of your runs will die to wobbles, hitting walls, stuff like that. It's not very pleasant. So right here, I'm driving over this purple, pink, rainbowy strip. That's refilling my energy meter. So that's both health and boost power, as you recall. There's also a thing in this game called a suicide finish. It doesn't matter if your machine explodes, as long as it's not finished exploding before you cross the finish line. So in some cases we use that to just kind of launch ourselves. You'll hopefully see that later. But yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes we'll do an MTRS, so the Momentum Turbo Rail Slide, into a suicide finish to just keep a lot of speed from our MTRS into launching ourselves to the end. I need a drink, my voice is really not in a good condition. Alright, so this track has a lot of boost plates, which means Fat Shark, pretty much. Sometimes I call them boost plates, sometimes dash plates. I think technically they're called dash plates, but I think it also differs per game. But yeah. This is a lot of people's favorite track. Has a lot of really... what I meant to say, it has really good music. Alright. Yes, stay hydrated. It's very important. Don't be like me. Alright, so let's talk about BSG. So, Sid already mentioned it earlier. I've been with BSG since before it was BSG. It was called NLG, Next Level Gaming, which if you look that up, you'll get multiple results. It's not the most original name, but yeah, that's how we started. My first one was NLG Mini 13. I believe that was back in 2014? Or maybe it was 15, I'm not entirely sure. To submit a run to that marathon, you had to post on Facebook. They had a Facebook page, you had to post your submission, and then they would contact you. I much prefer the way we do it now. So yeah, I actually didn't really know anyone there. It was pretty scary, but, you know, a marathon in the Netherlands, cool, why not, you know? I was also not the most outgoing person, so for me that was kinda scary. But yeah, I went there, everybody was really cool. There was KVD, also known as SMK Machine, Lilo, Patrick. It was just in there, like there was not really a venue. It was just these guys' house. They lived together. It's called the House of Gaming. So yeah, we were just in the living room streaming. I was only there for one day. I got to show off F-Zero GX, actually. So I submitted story mode because I figured, you know, it's nice and short, but it still has some cool stuff to show. It was kind of like a safe category to submit, and it went. I'm not gonna say it went super well, but I got to show off cool stuff, and they were pleased, so yeah. I was like, let's do this again next month. And yeah, kind of just visited that a couple times. Also stayed there to sleep, like 2 times I think. Just sleeping in the living room, on a couch, or on an air mattress. So yeah, it was like a very humble beginnings, let's say. They also had their yearly bigger event, which was just MLG, and the minis were just a weekend every month. I never went to the big one. I believe the last big one was just before I joined the first time. And after that, eventually, of course, we became BSG. So yeah, that's kind of how it started for me. Just in a living room, hanging out with some guys in front of like 5 to 10 viewers, pretty much. But it was really comfy, it was really fun. And even if I had to travel home in the evening, and I was not a big fan of that, it was worth it to go every month. So yeah, at some point... so I believe Jasper was not actually in charge at that point, but Jasper wanted to push for more growth, to be bigger, kind of, you know, branch out a bit more. And so eventually he, and I believe Rule was also one of the founders, they started BSG. We had an actual venue, it was in this old classroom. There was an abandoned like school building nearby, and there was the people from the Awesome Space, and they had their own little, like, I think it was like 2 rooms. One was like an actual classroom, and the other one was just a big open area. I'm not sure what that would have been originally, but yeah. So we went there, really cool. Had to walk through the rest of the empty school building to get there. It was kind of weird, but it was cool. So yeah, I believe we had a few marathons there before we moved over to the awesome space. I'm not entirely sure. It has been a while. 5 years, one might say. But yeah. On the first BSG, I also did a city run of Sanctum 2 with Jasper. We did not practice that. Actually, we did practice that. We practiced it a little bit, and we're like we practiced the first 1.5 of 4 worlds, and we're like, yeah, this is an estimate we can... Nice wobbling, my god. So we were like, yeah, that's an estimate we can hit, and then we were actually running. We didn't really have anything in terms of speed tech, and it kind of just, like, would have gone way over estimate, so we mercy killed it, but that's okay. I've also run F-Zero GX plenty of times. I have run Sonic Unleashed at this marathon. I've run Sonic Lost World. I've run F-Zero Climax. As you can see, I'm not one for really branching out from my main franchises. That's not entirely true, but yeah. I've run Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. I am dying. That's not very good. I should probably talk about what's going on here, because there is actually a lot going on at that part. So, Port on Aerodive. If you've played Super Smash Bros., you might recognize this stage. This one was in Brawl, and I do believe they brought it back in Ultimate. They made some small changes to it. Like, this is all normal, but after the dive with the platforms, there's an upslope. And at that upslope, for some reason, they added a hole in the road. Fun fact. Not there in the real thing. But yeah. This one is fairly iconic. So, what I do here... I told you before how side attack dives give you a lot of speed. Or side attacks give you a lot of speed. Diving gives you a lot of speed. So what if you do a side attack dive? So we kind of just MTS outward to be like all the way on the right. And then we give ourselves a lot of space to do a side attack dive to the left. And land with a lot of speed. The downside being, if you land as soon as you can, you'll land on the platforms. And as you can see, the wobbles get crazy. You generally don't want that. You want to avoid them. So what we do, we get some speed, and then we level out to float, and then try to land back on the track. Just like that. So let's try to do that one more time. It's important to be like very close to perfectly horizontal when you level out. If you face yourself too far with the nose up, good luck. You're losing all your speed, you're plummeting to your death. If you don't go far enough up with the nose, then you'll keep descending pretty fast. So it's kind of muscle memory for me, like how long I have to press back on the control stick. Of course, it's not perfect, but it does the job. Good enough is good enough. And here is the perfect place for an MTRS, as you can see, just casually hitting 3000. So with an MTRS, you don't have the problem of having to go back to facing forward. You just go sideways into the finish line, and that's it. It's amazing. There's a couple places you can do an MTRS that's not at the end of the lap. Usually, if the way you're facing is also the way the turn is going. So if you're facing to the left into the wall, and there's a left turn coming up, you can kind of detach from the wall again when it starts turning. And that helps you exit without losing a lot of speed. There's a couple places you can do that. Probably only gonna do like one of those. Yeah, I always really liked running Peace Walker. It's a very comfy speed game. It's skillful. There's actually a lot of depth to it, but it's also very easy to get into, in my opinion. And just in general, I think it's a very good game, and I would love to see like a remake of it on PC, preferably. That being said, it would need a difficulty adjustment, because as it stands, it's pretty easy. It was designed to be played on a PSP. You don't have the greatest FPS controls. So on HD Collection, where you actually have a second control stick, it's pretty easy. But yeah, I would love to see that game in the Fox engine. Please. That would be like one of my dream games. So yeah, I've run a lot of games over the years. There's been a time where I was very into Metal Gear, very into Sonic, very into F-Zero. F-Zero has definitely been the biggest mainstay. Between this game and F-Zero Climax and kind of F-Zero X, yeah, those are games I'll just always come back to. This game is not easy, but somehow it's usually not that hard for me to de-rust and put on a pretty good show, I like to think. Even if I'm not setting the greatest times, I can show off really cool stuff, I can talk about how much I love the game. All in all, good times. So as you can see, I've got those little butterflies on the side of my machine. Those are like default emblems. You can actually make your own emblems. It's kind of cool. I used to have the BSG logo on there, but I don't on this save file. Alright, where are we at? Long pipe. Long pipe. It's a very long pipe. Let's talk about BSG. I don't know. It's just been such a great experience. Like, I would definitely also say, like many others I've said before, Awesome Space was my favorite of the bunch. And that is Awesome Space V2, the one where we were until switching to the EGA. Awesome Space was also the one in the empty school building. They had to move because of reasons. But yeah, that was really comfy. Just sitting there, Guitar Hero room in the back, very important. I remember there was one BSG where I was with, I believe it was Whizboy and Nandi. We were just playing Guitar Hero in the back. It was such a blast. Actually, the first time I met them, but it was just really nice hanging out with them. I do believe we also had some Guitar Hero set up at annual 20... Was it 17? I guess that was 17, yeah. Yeah, that was also really, really fun. And then we had Clone Hero set up kind of on my impromptu setup on my laptop in 2018, also very fun. BSG mass housing, oh that was a thing. Yeah, so that was just like people crashing at Rule and Jasper's place. I've seen it mentioned before. You know, air mattress, Tetrising, people sleeping on the couch, comfy breakfast together. Really, really fun times. And then there was a time where I actually hosted mass housing as well. So we had like 2 or 3 people sleeping in our living room. That was fun. Usually ended up being Cruel and some other people, which was nice because Cruel had a car. I didn't. So he just took all of us. So yeah, that was back when I lived somewhere else. We've moved since then. Right now we could do mass housing, but I don't know if it's the greatest idea. But yeah, should the need ever be there, I'm sure we can figure something out. We are just one train ride away from Alphen. I really need another drink. Seven hours to inflate a mattress. That sure is something. Alright, so this track is actually very difficult. This track does not belong in Sapphire Cup. So far these tracks have been pretty manageable. This one belongs in Diamond Cup, easily. Arguably the hardest track in the game, I would say. You can do a lot of fun stuff on it though. You can't skip the entirety of a track. But if you hit checkpoints well, and if you land in between sometimes, you can do some pretty major skips. So hopefully I'll get to show those off. So we do a double mind boost here, fly over to these jump plates, hit this checkpoint in the air, land up here, try not to fall off, get a shift boost at the end. Easy. Now to do it again. Wow. Real physics can be quite something. Let's actually go here. That was entirely unplanned. I just kind of had to bail out because that was not a good angle. So yeah, the tricky thing is, on lap 1 you have that perfect setup with 2 mines. How do you do that on lap 2 and 3? Because those mines are gone. There's a few ways to do it. 10 seconds slower than my lap 1. Incredible. So one way to do it is to do a big MTS. Oh gosh, I'm very surprised that worked. I'm so surprised that actually worked. That was so jank. So that's one way to do it. Big MTS, which kind of manipulates your gravity to get you further without losing as much height. Yeah, it's really not an easy track. I'm glad I was able to do that first try. Alright, that out of the way, there's not really any really hard tracks until Diamond Cup. Diamond Cup is where I'll probably die a couple times. And there's no Lucky 2 to save me. If I die, I restart the track. So yeah, a lot of crazy stuff happens in this game. I've played it for so long that I'm like barely even all that impressed anymore. It's just you kind of expect crazy stuff to happen, just what it is, that's the question. Also makes the game very interesting to run. Like you'll always run into some cool, highlight-worthy stuff. Alright, so I kind of dropped the term earlier, shift boost. We still don't fully understand how it works, but the basics are you leave the track and get back on it in a very short time frame. You get a speed boost. How much speed you get depends on your acceleration, your weight, and maybe some other factors. But those are the main two. So this being a slope all the way around, there's some setups for shift boost you can do. Just quickly lift off, like right there. Did not go according to plan, but that's okay. So slopes are one way to do it. Just like lift off from the slope and land soon after. Another way you can do it, if the track has no walls, is to just strafe off. So strafe off, strafe back on. That was also one shift boost. There's actually a double shift boost you can get there, which is really just 2 consecutive ones shortly after each other. And we call that a double shift boost. Triple shift boost exists. Just not really any RTA viable ones. But yeah, the strafing off the track and back on, you'll see that later in Diamond Cup. I'm kind of trying to go at a shallow angle, because I am going very fast. If I were to go too far to the right, ooh, okay, I would be lifting off for too long to get the speed boost, and at that point you're kind of just wasting time. It's a pretty difficult balance to strike. Double shift boost? Nope. Oh well. If you do that right, you can just instantly get up to like 2,000 kilometers per hour. And then you have to maintain it through this this part of the track, where you have to stay on the inside to hit the boosters. But the game really wants to have you not be on the inside. Kind of just how it works. I was so close to being able to reach chat, but I decided to do it before setting up the NTRS. It's a matter of practice, mostly. I've been running this game since 2015, so I know exactly when I have time to look away, or when I have time to just think about what I want to say. Let's actually go for yellow here. Also, there's certain things I can do while talking, certain things I can't do. I also run Golden Sun. That game, I really struggle to talk much while doing battle menus, because I have to remember what to do for 4 characters and know where those commands are. And that's too much brain power. That's brain power I don't have while talking. But here, I just know how the track looks. I know pretty well how the machines handle. So I kind of just know, like you can tell when I'm kind of just hesitating in my speech, and that's when I'm trying to do something a bit more complicated. But yeah, I can autopilot this game pretty well because I've been playing it so much. Muscle memory, yeah. And like I said, knowing where you can look away. Like right there, I was just going in a straight line. Of course, that was also slow. But in a later track, Cosmo Terminal Trident, you'll see that I also... I also managed to talk while going fast, and that's because I know when I can just be holding, or like not really inputting anything. I guess that's the nice thing about a racing game. Sometimes you just hold the accelerator and you just go. But yeah, I just kind of go quiet when there is something I need to focus on. And in between I managed to fill it up pretty well, I think. Some games are definitely hard to commentate, even if you spend 5,000 hours on, definitely. Golden Sun for me is one of those. When I'm inputting battle commands, or when I'm almost having to do that, I'm so focused on what I'm having to do, that I really just can't. You would think F-Zero GX, being a very fast and technical racing game, would be in this category. If I were to do heavy MTS chaining, I would not be able to talk this much. And here I'm kind of going quiet because there's actually a setup for a double shift boost you can get, but I'm just not getting it, unfortunately. It's a difference between a game... I don't know. I really don't know how to describe it. I just know how this game handles, and I know when I can talk. Also, I tend to ramble. You won't always get the most insightful commentary when I'm running this. Because both the game and my commentating are kind of on autopilot, so like 50-50. Alright, what do we have here? Double branches. So this is also a track where you can do off the track and on the track shift boosts, because there are parts where there's no walls. I'll try to do like 2 on every lap. Yeah, like it's muscle memory for the game and muscle memory for commentating. I've been commentating in marathons since NLG Mini 13. I've also run at bigger marathons, so I guess that's also just a thing that comes with experience. Also, just streaming the game yourself with microphone helps a lot, which I've been doing since 2012, technically. 1, 2. I thought I had a grip. I didn't. But it's very worth it. You can go really fast there. So yeah, just strafe off with R, get back on with L. Also some joystick movement to have that happen a bit quicker. You can technically only use the shoulder buttons, but I don't like the way that feels. And adding in the control stick is one way to kind of make them flow well together, because you can do them a bit faster if you do the control stick as well. It's a very fine balance you have to hit. Also right there, that sound you heard is one that you probably haven't heard yet. It's the brakes. This game has brakes. We barely ever use them, but sometimes we do have to, because otherwise we fly off. Usually there's no way to recover from that. So here we MTS into a jump plate. That way we hit it with higher speed and we get launched up higher. So right here I take this path so I can keep boosting, because there's energy refill. And 1, 2. It's kind of hard not to hit those walls. That's kind of just me not being very good at it. It's very possible. You just have to turn pretty far ahead of time. Right here's also a lift-off spot. I used it to get a shift boost just now. I was close to lifting off and flying off because I'm actually upside down. That's one thing to keep in mind. You don't want to lift off when you're upside down, because gravity will take over. That's rough. Alright, let's try again. We have time for this. I you don't expect a deathless F-Zero run. Like, none of them. That was kind of silly. I never actually took the right jump. Because that's not the strat we go for. It's just that I kind of hacked it up. You really have to manage your expectations with this game. If you expect to set a perfect marathon run or any perfect RTA run, it's not happening. You expect some death, some slop. Especially if you're still a bit rusty. I am a bit rusty. I didn't actually run this game for like well over a year, I think. Oh. Okay. So yeah, the reason this is a Fat Shark track, once again, is because there are a lot of boost plates. Gallon Star could also set a very good time here because of all the shift boosts. With each of those I'm kind of risking deaths, but it's kind of a tough thing. One shift boost is not that scary, it's not that risky. It's just when you do a lot of them, the risk kind of adds up. But also the benefit adds up, because if you do a shift boost at a higher starting speed, you gain more speed from it. So it's this weird thing where you have to figure out like, hey, do I not do this one shift boost for slightly less risk of dying, but a lot less benefit? It's kind of tough. It's a tough call to make. Getting some energy back, and I will go for 2 more here. But I do them a bit more spaced out to make sure I'm set up properly and I'm not losing my grip when I think I do have my grip. That's kind of the main thing. Feeling when you have grip, knowing when you're breaking grip. One way to break grip is to hold both shoulder buttons and then turn. That starts a drift turn, that's just instant broken grip on most vehicles, not all of them. There's certain machines like Magic Seagull. Magic Seagull has like pretty much unbreakable grip. Fat Shark is like a bit below average, I would say. Not very drifty, but also not very grippy. Gallant is a bit above average, kind of grippy. But if you use your shoulder buttons well, you can always manage to drift if you want to. Drifting is one of the intended ways of turning in this game. So you have just stick turning. This is half pipe. You have strafe turning, which would be left on the control stick plus L. Or you have drift turning, which is left on control stick and L and R. Preferably the shoulder buttons first to get you in that weakened grip state. Alright, so here's a setup for a double shift boost. I really hope I can get it. I was too far to the right. It just lines up perfectly if you are in the right spot. So, half-pipes are weird. Pipe physics in general are kind of weird. Half-pipe is weird because it's not a full pipe. If you are on the edge of the pipe, collision doesn't really want to help you. If you like halfway go off the side of the pipe, you'll just kind of fall through. It's very unfortunate. So we kind of avoid the side of the pipe unless we're doing a jump like this. So that, aside from letting me dive and get some speed, also let me avoid a very annoying jump. Let's see if I can get this set up now. I slowed down a bit too much, I think. That jump is kind of scary because your gravity can kind of get shifted to the right and you'll spiral, and that's what we generally don't want to see. So when you spiral, like generally you just want to get back to the track as soon as possible, like land as soon as possible. Ooh, okay. got very lucky. I easily could have just fallen through the track right there. I think I am going too slow now. Yeah, that's alright. You'll see plenty of shift boosts soon enough. It's just that they'll be the off-track variety. So, sometimes you can get a completely different dive here, even though your inputs feel the same. And that's something I still haven't quite figured out. This is a very difficult track to master. Right there, we want to avoid lifting off. It's kind of like a weird swerve, and yeah, if you lift off, you might just not have your grip and be sent off to the side. And as I said before, we don't want to be at the sides of the pipe. It's technically possible to do off-track shift boosts off of the pipe. It's just super precise and risky and not worth it. Except for like 1 or 2 places if you're going for a world record. But yeah, not for me, not the RTA. Alright, final track of Emerald Cup, and then we are off to Diamond. I'm scared of Diamond. Everybody's scared of Diamond. It's where all the hardest tracks are, minus serial gaps. It's also the most fun track. Most fun cup, even. So, yeah. I definitely do miss going to on-site marathons. Always having a good time just hanging out, even if we're not playing games together, just like, you know, talking, seeing people, hugging. I miss the hugs. Also going out to eat kapsalon together, stuff like that. So yeah, I really hope we can get that back soon. But, you know, gotta deal with what's currently going on. So since the marathons have been online, I haven't really had much of a presence in them. I've also been busy with work. I worked like... oh wait. Alright. That's kind of tricky. That was also very scary. Sometimes when you lift off, you kind of just end up going really fast like that. There's a really cool jump you can do here if I don't get waterfalled. Dang. Too far out. But yeah, I worked like 36 hours a week of customer support, and now 32 hours a week of tech support for my colleagues. It's fun, does take a lot out of you, and if you're not there in person, it's different. But yeah, I really hope I can see you all again soon. Ooh, that's kind of janky. Yeah, so what we're doing right there, by MTSing off of the jump, we are manipulating our gravity to go further forward and allow us to do a side attack dive to the right for speed. So one thing I also want to talk about is that I met my girlfriend at BSG Annual 2018. Never met each other before. She just impromptu decided to come from Germany with a friend who was not even into speedrunning. They were just like, yeah, let's hang out there for 3 days. And initially we got in touch because, wow, because she has a medicine that she has to use, which help her immune system. And they had to be cooled. So she was asking like, hey, can we use the fridge? Like, how does that work? So that's kind of how I first got in touch with her, trying to organize that. And then when she was there, we kind of just started talking, hanging out. And for me personally, I was just, you know, don't want to say love at first sight, but pretty much. And so we were kind of hanging out for 3 days. And then she had to go back to Germany. I was just like, I want to see her again soon. And then, like, 3 or 4 weeks later, there I was on the train to Germany. Never traveled abroad by myself. But I was just like, yeah, I just really wanted to see her again. So I spent the weekend there, and that's how we got together. So that's definitely one of my most cherished memories. Like, at the event, we were not talking that much, but when I was at Tech, we would just be talking on Discord, stuff like that. Oh, I didn't get a good finish. So yeah, and then, like, within a year of us getting together, we moved in together, and now she's hanging out right there. Alright, we're done in Emerald Cup. It's time for the scary one. Yeah, if you actually take the time to look at the tracks, there's a lot of detail in them. It's actually really cool. Like, it's nice to just slow down and just look at stuff. Boundary Break also did a video about this. Actually just going into the distance, seeing what's there. And yeah, it's actually really cool. It's very pretty. It's amazing that this game runs at 60 FPS as stable as it does. Even in task setting, where you're going, like, you're hitting 10,000 sometimes, which, by the way, is the speed cap. It still works. Collision doesn't get crazy or anything. It all just works. It's absolutely an incredible feat. Yo, sniper. Dropping the sub bomb. Alright, so Trident. This track is scary, as I've been alluding to. This track is also, whoa, very fast. Yeah, just casually hitting 3,000. Fun fact, hitting 3,000 there is not actually that crazy. 4,000 is what we want to hit. Nyum. Nyum. So this is really about knowing where you can shift boost. The track kind of like rotates around itself. That one was kind of risky. There's ups and downs. When you're going uphill, gravity just doesn't allow you a lot of time to get back on the track. Sometimes it's literally impossible, depending on the angle. So it's important to know where you can shift boost, and then it's a matter of executing. That one was very sad. I missed 2 of those. So this is one of those tracks where people are like, how are you commentating this? It's a lot of just machine control and knowing where you can shift boost. Okay, I deserve that one. I deserve that one for being like, hey, look what I can do. You don't expect a deathless Trident. That was actually going super well, though. So that one is kind of weird, like you barely even go off the edge, but it kind of just works. Yeah, this track gives you anxiety, especially with that music. And then it goes to lap 3, and the music gets more intense, like if you haven't noticed. Lap 3, the music changes on every track. Yeah, it's a bit much. Here's the thing. Oh, that was a nice double. That's... Oh. Didn't manage to hold that speed. That was actually perfect, though, if I did manage to hold it. I was trying to strafe to the right a bit. Strafing helps you maintain your grip, even at high speeds. So that's what I was trying to do, but barely didn't make it. But yeah, music gets more intense on lap 3. So, at that point, you're really just trying to keep it together. The thing about this track, you shouldn't get attached to any run that isn't in lap 3. Because like at any point, it really could die, because even though a single shift boost is not the hardest thing in the world, chaining them together like this, yeah, there's a big risk. That's what we like to see. And then you can kind of keep that speed by doing 2 shift boosts here. 1 more. Now we'll take it easy a bit. But only a little bit. Like, a lot of this track is kind of just going straight. It's just, you do the shift boost. Oh, gosh, okay. I was not in control there. Yeah, you do the shift boost, and you kind of just go straight. Casually, this is a very boring track, in my opinion. Speedrunning, it's the most intense track in existence. Alright. I'm really bad at doing left side shift boosts. It's just not in my muscle memory. So what I would normally do there is one shift boost on the left, because you kind of have to if you want to keep that speed. And then coming back onto the track, I go far enough to the right so I can do the next ones on the right side. Some people just prefer to always do left. I just can't. I learned to shift boost on chapter 2 of story mode. On the left side is a wall, on the right side is no wall, so it's kind of a given where you'll be shift boosting. That's some nice wobbling, not really. Hate to see it. Alright, let's not go for any shift boost, let's just finish. Sub 220, that's actually respectable. My PB is 141, for reference, for how crazy this can get. But yeah, I'll take a 219 in a marathon, after dying twice, I think. It's just where every run goes to die. I'm just very glad it's in Diamond Cup and not like right at the start of the game, because otherwise like you're not really warmed up. It kind of sucks. So hey, shift boosting. Hope you like going fast, because we do it a bunch more now. This is a track where shift boosting was first found. Even a staff ghost does it. They knew about it, they just didn't know about MT. And they used a machine that was very bad at shift boosting. So they were probably not aware of just how broken this thing is. Ooh. So what we do there is we have to slow down to not fly off unintentionally. And then a bit later we do an MTS to go fast to fly off into a shift boost. And that's to kind of regain our speed after we had to slow down. Unfortunately, you know, that can happen. So here we have to be below 1800. These are always kind of dodgy. At least for me, because, you know, left side. And just kind of the weird angle. I'm not a big fan of those. So one thing I try to do is to not be in boost states, because when you're in boost states, you actually have lower acceleration, which means you get less speed from the shift boosts. So that's not what we want. Okay, we're good, we're good. Fully in control. So yeah, this is one of those where you do kind of have to focus. Especially exiting that tunnel there. It's kinda scary. Because there's just no walls right there. Alright, I'll take that. Alright, so we're not done with shift boosting yet. The next track also has some, but not nearly as many. It's also kind of a weird track. It's got Firefield Undulation. As the name implies, there's a lot of wobbling. You can tell from the map. You can also tell, or one thing you can't tell is the small wobbles in the road itself. So these ups and downs are fine. We don't mind these. It's the bumps in the road. The bumps in the road are terrible. So, just some shift boosting to get us some speed. some dives to keep that speed. This part sucks. These pillars have collision. If you hit them above the lava, nothing you can do. Okay. Dodgy. Very dodgy. Right there we kind of have to do this big old dive because there's actually like a gravity field. That gravity field doesn't pull you down, it slows you down. And that's to make sure you don't clip through the track, because the collision there is not very good. Here's the thing, if you land well, it's not really a concern. So we just don't want to be slowed down. So we do a side attack dive to completely avoid that area. Like I said, these pipes are solid, they suck. Yeah, this track is pretty tricky. Oh. So these bumps right here can actually mess up your gravity so badly that you just wobble over the rail and die. It's the saddest thing. Like, you can see how bad it gets already, and those bumps are not as big as the other ones. That's unfortunate. Alright. So another BSG memory that I really remember fondly is actually on Easter. It was a very weird one, and I guess that's what makes it memorable in my brain. It was very, very calm. There weren't a lot of people. It's Easter weekend, people were with family. But Lighten was there running Hotline Miami. I had never seen a speedrun of Hotline Miami. After I saw that speedrun, I was like, I wish I could do this. This is so cool. And then I kind of started trying to pick that up. Kind of made some progress, but never really got to the point of being able to do a full run. And then Grumpmeister was there, and Elise was there. They were out there supporting Lighten. And I'll never forget, I heard Grumpmeister talk Dutch, and they were together. So I started talking Dutch to Elise, and she was just like, I'm sorry, I don't speak Dutch. I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry. Just kind of assuming that she would understand. So that was fun. But yeah, watching that run was incredible. And then seeing it again at Annual, I was there to commentate and like forward questions from chat. It didn't really end up happening that way. I was reading chat, and there was stuff happening in chat, but it was not questions being asked. And Lighten was doing fine, just commentating on its own, so I was just kind of sitting there. Yeah, just sitting there on stream. That was kind of it. But it was really cool being able to watch that. Alright, finally finish this. Also at BSG, I met Laura. She doesn't really have much of a consistent online handle. Laura Berry, Cherry Berry, a whole bunch of stuff. And I also met her at one of the monthlies at the time. But yeah, I also met her there, and she's been a good friend. We still hang out sometimes, even if she doesn't attend BSGs. And that's great. Like, just, it's really great when you meet someone and you can just still be friends outside of that thing where you met. It's really nice. Laura also dating Rule. Rule, I also haven't seen IRL in a while, but we were playing Jackbox the other day. Fun times. Alright, so here we have another stalled dive. Go for 1-2 shift boost, hopefully. It's Diamond Cup, you expect to die. Ah, that's cool. That's very good to hear, Grump. Laura, there you are. Yeah, I'm very glad I met you. And I'll never forget when you told me about our introduction. Like, I introduced myself, and apparently I was not very good at saying my name because you didn't understand it, and I had to ask other people, like, what's her name? What's her name? That was fun. No worries, it is. Like, I'm very bad at keeping in touch with people. Just know that even if we don't talk much, or like at all really, I still appreciate every one of you, and if any one of you ever wants to talk, just hit me up and I'll always be happy to have a conversation. I'm just very bad at actually just being the one who approaches people. Always have been, getting a bit better over time, but still getting there. I'm crazy to go for 2 shift boosts on a boost app, but hey, here we are. This track is also very fast-paced. This is a lot of people's favorites as well. Screwdrive, or not Screwdrive, Aeropolis just has a lot of good tracks. I'm not as big of a fan of Screwdrive, but I would still say that's a good track. For sure. Rough. I saw myself going into that and I was like, not in time to save it. I wonder if it's a good or a bad thing that I can't see the timer right now. Oh god, okay. Let's go fast. Let's go fast to catch up. Not gonna work out that way. Alright, I'll just do my best to not die anymore, and then we'll be all good. So yeah, this track is just really fun. I love that you can just do these MTSs up against the wall. When you're going up a slope, at a high speed, and you're drifting, you kind of just don't collide with the wall, and it's fantastic. You can kind of just MTS into the wall, like your back is totally hitting the wall, but you're not colliding. Yeah, every now and then Emily also asks me stuff like, how does this grammar thing work? And I'm just like, I actually have no idea. I kind of just do. But I don't see any logic behind it. Dutch is not an easy language to learn. That's a good dive. Let's not hit that building. Let's also just not go for shift boost. Let's just bring it home. Me being German? I'm told so often that I have an American accent. Like, even when I'm speaking Dutch, people are like, do you happen to be from America? And I'm just like, no, never been there. Alright, on to the next track. It's Phantom Road. Okay, so I'm using an unconventional vehicle here. I'm using Gallant. Surprise, I like this one. The beginner's choice here is Sonic Phantom. It's capable, but it's also... like, it's not the fastest, but it's very easy to make it through this track. It's a lot of very narrow turns. Sonic Phantom is just good for it. Instead, I'm gonna go for the hard strat, which is this right here. So we do a big old dive to get some speed, MTS into that turn, and then we can have the glitchy upslope physics to get up the hill without colliding with the wall, and then we collide with the wall, which sends us flying, so we can do another dive to skip a small part and just get a lot of speed. It's not easy. I'm actually impressed I managed to land it first try. Ooh, okay. That one was a bit janky, but I'm very impressed with myself that I managed to get it twice in a row now. So as nice as Gallant is, it's not very good at these tiny adjustments you have to make on this narrow road. This machine can get very good times here, it's just not easy to do so. That being said, the alternative is Black Bull, which to me is way harder still. Okay, 2 out of 3 is very good. I'll take that. Can even do a ballsy MTS there, which I actually tried to do, but I couldn't break grip. This track is scary. In Grand Prix mode, you'll probably not get first place here on Master difficulty, because the AI fly off here, and then manage to make it back on the track in such a way that you can't. That's actually a very good time. Okay, that is Diamond Cup finally done. Here's Screwdrive. This is another good Aeropolis track. Normal people use Quickstar here. Haven't even talked about Quickstar yet. Quickstar is the MTSing master of this game. It's very light. Not World Record. No, World Record is insane. Quickstar is very light and it has amazing MTSing, which makes it perfect for this track. It's just kind of hard to handle. I don't like it, so I don't use it. Simple as that. I have used it before. I've set PBs with it. But since de-rusting, I was just like, nah. Gallant is where it's at. It can still do good MTS chaining. It's just a bit harder because of the grip. And a bit weaker. But that's okay. There's something cool we can do here, and that's a super suicide finish. We can do that by crashing into the wall and launching ourselves to the finish line. Gallant being heavier, it's actually harder to do that. But I'll try my best. So I need to have just the right amount of energy. I should get as much as possible here. I delay this boost so I can be in boost state when I hit the wall, and I had too much energy. I was supposed to just launch myself straight into the air to the finish line, because the finish line extends like infinitely to the left and to the right and up, but not down. You have to be above the track for it to count. So that was unfortunate. Kinda just slowly crashed into the wall. Alright, next one is my favorite venue. It's Outer Space. By the way, we're playing the AX Cup right now. This is all the tracks that were in F-Zero AX, the arcade version of this game. Actually has different physics. There's this thing going around the internet that has been going around the internet for a long time, where you can play F-Zero AX in GX. And while that's partially true, you can have the AX menus and like the checkpoints with the time increasing, stuff like that. It doesn't have AX physics, and AX physics are way different. Because F-Zero AX has a trick called Turbo Drift, which basically just allows you to be in like a state like this, where you're kind of like drifting, but you're also just going forward. And you'll be accelerating up to like 3,000 or 4,000 kilometers per hour. It's actually ridiculous. Turbo Drift is faster than snaking, and even snaking is pretty ridiculous. So yeah, F-Zero AX is really only playable in its original state on the original arcade. I have actually played on it. There's an arcade in Zoetermeer, which I visited once, and then I played around with it a bit. Unfortunately, the memory card reader was broken, so I didn't get to try out all the best custom vehicles, but Fat Shark is also very capable. Like, Fat Shark's just broken. It's like one of the best in max speed, it's very good at snaking, it's very good at T-drifts, it's kind of ridiculous. Hey Fecka. Yes! So, that's another experience that only was possible through BSG, because we were at Cruel's place doing the 380 run. Gen 3 catch 'em all. So there's actually a lot of experience that aren't directly related to BSG, that are possible through BSG, because I wouldn't know Cruel if not for BSG. So the first time we did the home index run of Gen 3, so that's just Pokemon Sapphire, Emerald, and Ruby. What track am I on? Sending Wave. So that was like a 20-hour run. We were just like... Initially, I think we were intending to have a sleep break, and then we were pretty close at 16 hours. We were just like, yeah, let's just keep going. So we just went for 20 hours straight. Filled the whole index. Very, very fun. Cruel had already done a 380 with, I believe, double, Frosty... I believe someone was there as well. And Xita, I think? Anyway, so they did that run together, but they didn't have link cables, so Cruel's always like, hey, let's do this again sometime, and let's smash that time. So then, Emily, me, Frosty, Xita, Fecka, and I feel very bad for forgetting the other person right now. Matt, of course. Matt was also there, from Australia. Absolutely great guy to hang out with. It's a shame you're so far away. So yeah, we did that. That was like, we slept twice during that run. Forget what our time was, but yeah, that was a very fun weekend. Also exhausting. Oh gosh, there was so much trading in that run. But yeah, would love to do something like that again. It's just a bit harder now that I actually have a job and stuff. But yeah, those catch 'em alls are just a great time, just hanging out, streaming together, sleeping in the attic. Impressive, new record. Not really. Reminder, this is not my main file. This file is actually... If I set more top 10 times, so not every time is a top 10 and it has to do the saving, this file would actually be better for speedrunning compared to my main file, because I don't have the machine that's in between Blue Falcon and Fat Shark, which means I save one left input every time I have to select a custom machine. Or Fat Shark after selecting a custom machine. So yeah, worth it. Yeah, unfortunately all of these are top 10, so I'm losing a bunch of time to the game being like, hey, top 10, enter your time, save to the memory card. But that's okay. So, Lightning Thunder Road. Amazing track. Very big, which means very nice MTS chaining. I still managed to hit both walls, actually. Yeah, this track is just very, very nice. It's pretty long, but it has enough variety so that it doesn't feel like it drags on or anything. So there's just this part, which is very difficult for Galen to navigate. It really only turns well if you're quick turning, but then you're kind of turning too much. So yeah, it's pretty rough. 15 years ago. That's a long time. Yeah, I'm just glad to have met all of you. My life would not be the same without all of you. Doing marathons is also just a great way to improve your, like, public speaking skills. Okay, we're fine, we're fine. I tried to skip that little zigzag and land straight on the right side, but yeah, didn't quite make that. So another big side attack dive. We tried to do an MTS into shift boost there, but I keep missing it. And there's also shift boost you can get from these hills because, you know, they're slopes. You could lift off if you're hitting them at the right spot, at the right speed. Okay, so we're at 0 energy because we used up all our boost. That means we have to avoid hitting walls. Fair point, Sid. I think for me it definitely did help in general, but yeah. Talking about anything other than video games is still a bit much. So we're kind of nearing the end of the run. There are 2 more tracks after this, the longest track and the shortest track. Don't talk about anything else, yeah. I'm sure people at work will appreciate if I just gush about F-Zero GX or Golden Sun. Alright, Spiral. The record, I believe, is currently set with Gallant Star, but Quick Star is like considered to be the easier vehicle to set good times with. I just like using Gallant Star. Like, I'm sorry for the lack of variety, I just really like Gallant Star. It handles so well. It's okay, I'll use a different vehicle for the next track, don't worry. Alright, so there's a cool little shortcut you can do here. You have to hit a checkpoint in the air and not land too far forward, so the game considers you as having skipped too far ahead and you'll explode. But also far enough forward so that you were able to hit that checkpoint in the air. It's kind of tricky. If you don't understand how it works, it feels extremely random as to whether or not you can survive or not. Ooh, okay. We are currently in a pinball machine. Alright, so some nice turbo sliding with side attack exits. Nice and fast. So I'm noticing that I'm kind of not driving well right now. I'm also just really warm. We're not used to this heat anymore. It's been... like, it was so cold, like, a few weeks ago. And then suddenly warm and suddenly cold. It's absolutely impossible to keep up with. So here we don't do the shortcut. It doesn't save as much time on boost laps. And you have to specifically slow down for it, so it's kinda tricky. If you handle that cylinder well, you can launch yourself to skip that first platform. I'll see if I can do it on final lap. I remember running into Kinnan at high school once, or like not high school, college. I didn't know he went there, and I just suddenly saw him, and he saw me, and I was like, "Hey, I forgot your real name." And there were people nearby, so I didn't just want to call him Kinnan, and it was very awkward, and I'm still very sorry about that, Kinnan. That was very awkward. Oh, and shoutouts to the one time I was picking up Emily from the train station and Reek was just suddenly there. Just hanging out in Utrecht. That was fun. Or I was dropping her off, I think? Yeah, I think that was it. Fun times. Alright, so that's kind of the dive you want. There's various options there. You don't have a lot of control over what happens when you do the side attack off that slope. But yeah, that's kind of what you want. If you don't get the spiral skip, which is to jump all the way over to the top of the spiral. Yeah, it's kind of just... you need to go fast enough for the spiral skip. And even then, you need to handle it right. Kind of tricky with Gallant, but shouldn't be too bad. Anyway, we're coming up to the final track, so it's time for the best machine in the game. Hard banger. It bangs hard. It's very good. Alright, so here's Hard Banger. It's the heaviest machine you can make without the special event parts. Doesn't have the greatest acceleration, doesn't have the greatest turning, but it sure can do side attacks. You kind of have to, because this is the stick turning. It's not very good. It also can barely quick turn. So there's a technique in this run. By the way, just a heads up, time is when I cross the finish line on lap 3. There's a technique in this game called... Okay, I don't know if it has an official name. It's like rail banging or something. It's kind of just where you do this. Not that. Okay. I guess it's better done on Twist Road where there's sharp returns. But you can like be grinding up against the wall, just spamming side attacks, and that's kind of just how you're moving forward. Sonic Go Ball's not really the best track for it. Anyway, Hard Banger is a good meme. Time is coming up very soon. Time. I don't think that was a great time. But I had fun, and I hope you all had fun too. Let's pull up the stream. What's it gonna be? 121. It's underestimate. I'll take that. And I got to show off some cool stuff. Tech, do I have time to quickly show off snaking? It's gonna take like a minute. Nice alarm, me.
I'm not tech, but probably okay.
Probably. It's gonna take like a minute. So I just did max speed. Let's do snaking. Just for this track. 1 minute.
I'd say you
should
just...
be fine.
Ah, there we go.
Alright, so snaking involves switching between holding left on the control stick and L, and right and R. It lets you go really fast. So yeah, I'm kind of just chilling. It gets faster on boost taps. Snaking gets enhanced a lot by boosting. As you can maybe hear, this is not very good for your hands. I'm also not very good at it, to be fair. But yeah, you can go pretty fast. It's kind of crazy. You can see how this would be separated from like the more normal driving. Okay, that's a short demo of snaking. It's not the greatest, but I'm not a snaker. I'm a max speed player. Alright, I think that's going to be it for me. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be invited. Looking forward to the next runs. What's it gonna be? Pokemon Pearl.
Yeah.
Alright, so enjoy. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.
Yeah, thanks a lot for showing the